let's have a chat, shall we? I would like to know your opinion on a particular topic. Should voters be required to show identification before they're allowed to vote? I've been doing a little bit of research on this topic because it interests me so. As a former journalist, I've always been interested in the news. Add that to the fact that I find this particular election season exceptionally interesting for a variety of reasons, as I'm sure many of you do as well. I have already voted in Missouri's primary. In Missouri, so backing up just a little bit, there are currently 33 states that require some type of identification in order to vote. 19 of those require photo ID. 14 allow some other type of identification. That leaves 17 that require no form of identification whatsoever, plus the District of Columbia. Missouri falls into the shows some form of identification. What we require is, this is my registration card. This comes in the mail that says, my name is Danielle Smith. It comes to my address. I take this with me to my designated polling place and they say, is this you? I say yes, and then they give me my ballot. Also, they say, are you a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian? And I'm allowed to choose who I am for that day. And I recognize, and that's an entirely different conversation, I recognize that there are some states that require you to register for a particular party and you vote for that party in the primary. So again, different topic. But what I also found in seeking out information in this particular topic, that and this is also interesting to me, that some states have what's called a strict photo ID law, meaning if you don't bring your actual photo ID, meaning your driver's license, a state ID, or a military ID, they'll give you what's called a provisional ballot, and they put that in a side pocket set off to the side, and then you have a couple of days to come and bring back identification. And if you don't within what they're calling a couple of days, then your ballot is not counted. If you do come within a couple of days, then your ballot will be counted. Now, there are other states that are non-strict photo ID states, so you're required to bring your photo ID. However, if you don't in that non-strict state, there are other ways that they can identify you. Someone in the polling place who knows you can vouch for you. You can sign an affidavit. So each state seems to have a variety of ways of allowing their voters to vote. The first time that voter identification became an issue was back in the 1950s, and it wasn't necessarily a photo ID, which of course, because we didn't have photo IDs the way we do now, you just had to bring some type of document that identified you. The argument for this is to prevent voter fraud. The argument against this is that voter fraud is rare and that it harms people who, it unduly restricts people who it is more difficult for them to get this type of identification. So what do you think? It's interesting to me that I can vote with a piece of paper that has my name on it, because potentially someone else could pretend to be me. How rare is that? I don't know. Who would want to be me in order to take my vote? I don't know. I want to be me. I want to have my vote. So to me, voter fraud, for me, unusual. Are there, this to me is such an interesting conversation, because the very idea that there is someone's great grandmother who hasn't driven in years and whose identification has expired and or is lost and cannot vote because they live in Wisconsin and they want a vote and they want to say, or that student IDs are not valid. Student picture IDs are not valid. And who does that hurt? Which side of the aisle does that hurt? Because there are many students who don't have driver's licenses away at college potentially, and they don't have proper identification in order to vote. So where would they be voting? Interesting question for me. I would like to know, what do you think? Should we be required to have some form of identification? And are you okay with students showing that they have that they can prove who they are? Could they use their student ID? Is that enough? Or do you think that we should have to have a state issued, a military ID, or a driver's license? What do you think? You can always find me online in many places. I am on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and it's all at Danielle Smith TV, or you can always comment below on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and let's continue the conversation.